Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chronicles of Hollywood History, past, present, and future. Welcome. And here now, Corey Gomez.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Chronicles of Hollywood History, past, present, and future. Today, I am joined by one of the original Glow Girls, Mrs. Dawn Rice Maestas. You may know her as Godiva. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Hello, you're on the air with Godiva, giving you all the bare facts. Thank you for having me.
I swear to God, when I was a little kid, I swore you were British.
Well, so did everyone.
You had the perfect, even when you were on Donahue, I think, you had like the perfect accent.
Thank you.
And the perfect gimmick in the bodysuit.
Yes, definitely.
You were my second favorite Glow Girl. I shouldn't say it like that, but as far as like who I had.
No, you shouldn't. How dare you, sir?
As far as who I had a crush on, you were number 2.
Okay.
I guess I'll ask what I always ask. How did you get started as a Glow Girl? I know some girls just went to the auditions blind. I'm sure when you joined, you knew what it was you were trying out for. How did that come about?
Well, actually, I had no idea. I'd never heard of Glow, and I didn't audition. The season 3 girls had already auditioned, and I was before high school, friends with Debbie Debutante. She's been my best friend since 7th grade, and we didn't talk for years, and then she called me up like you had to do back in those days on the telephone, and she said, I miss you, I love you, you have to come do this thing with me, this crazy thing. Well, she was always doing some kind of crazy thing, so I just packed up enough stuff for a couple of weeks, and I was like, yeah, I'll go hang out with her for a little bit, and the rest became Glow history, I guess.
Did they have, because you had one of the more elaborate gimmicks, you had the bodysuit with the flowers, you came down on a horse.
Mm-hmm.
Was that always planned for you, or did they wait and see how you were before they kind of came up with the gimmick?
Well, that's a funny question now. I would have answered it differently 25 years ago. But they definitely, I had later heard from Little Egypt, they were definitely looking for their Godiva. The horse wasn't part of it. The accent wasn't part of it. I added those pieces. I created those pieces, which was cool because they allowed me to create them. But I didn't know they were looking for a Godiva and the naked suit and the whole thing until I got there, and they definitely wanted me to be a bad guy. And so Godiva it was, and I'm super, super glad about it. If I wouldn't have been Godiva, which I'm so lucky to have been because I think it was one of the more interesting characters in seasons 3 and 4.
Oh, definitely one of the most memorable, if not the most memorable.
Oh, well, thank you. And if I hadn't been Godiva, I would have loved to have been Zelda the Brain. Because I think she's also one of the more memorable characters, one of the most original.
You weren't clearly you were an athlete because you could tell. I could even back when I was younger, when I watched Glow when it was on, you were a kind of a harder hitter. So you were already a natural athlete going into it, correct?
I was an athlete my whole life. I was a gymnast. I played softball, volleyball. All the time.
And you're also a fellow martial artist, correct?
Correct. I am.
Taekwondo?
Yes, that's right. You do your homework, Corey.
I do. I don't. I tried Taekwondo at one point. I don't have long enough legs for it, so I'm a Tang Sudo Judo Kenpo.
It's a great martial art for women because our center of power is in our hips, not our upper body. So it's a great, because it's kicking. It's really good for women.
My son's lanky, so he earned his black belt in it a couple of years ago. So it was good for him. I just wasn't built for it.
That's a huge accomplishment.
Did you have to stay at the, because a lot of the girls said, were you one of the girls that had to stay at the same like apartment complex, follow the curfew, all of that?
I started out there, yeah, and then I moved into the Glow Mansion with Hollywood and Fiji. Hollywood was my roommate.
I love Hollywood. I make no qualms about admitting that publicly.
Everyone loves Hollywood. She's amazing, and she is as amazing on the inside as the outside. She's such a sweet girl.
Now, I heard that you were at the apartments, though, for a while, correct?
Not too long, probably 6 months or so.
I heard horror stories like you would have to leave the ovens open and turned on for heat. And
Oh, no, I didn't have any experience like that.
okay,
No, I wasn't in the apartments very long. I think Beastie and Babe the Farmer's Daughter were my first roommates, and we were fine. It was a little crowded with, it was 2 girls per room in these little small rooms, and I don't know how I ended up moving into the big house. I guess Matt just liked me a lot, and Hollywood flew in and out for Glow at that point, so I had the room anyway to myself when she wasn't in town, and then when she was in town, we tore up Vegas.
now I knew she got to fly in and out for those seasons because of her contract. I never once heard about a Glow mansion from any of the ladies.
Well, me and Mountain Fiji and Hollywood lived in the house where the director and his son and the production team lived. Johnny C lived there, Tony Simber, Matt Simber, and all of the post-production was done in one of the rooms of this enormous house. It was 3 stories. It was big.
Did you ever get hurt wrestling?
I broke a finger on Tulsa's head one time. And I this sounds really wussy of me being a tough guy, I guess, but I bruised my tailbone on tour one time.
Well, I've done that. And it hurts.
It hurt for 4 months. Mm-hmm. You can't not sit on it.
No. Did you like being a Glow girl?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I loved it. What's not to like? I was in my 20s. We're traveling everywhere. I'm on television. I'm kind of a big deal in a little small pond, and we had a great, great time. I've always loved women as well. There's a lot of women who don't love women, but I do, and I had an absolute blast with those girls.
For anyone who hasn't seen it, it might be on YouTube. I remember watching it when it was on. You had the pleasure of saying you made Phil Donahue sexually uncomfortable, I do believe.
I did. I made Phil blush and stammer, which is pretty good because he was a talk show host. You're not supposed to stammer.
Well, and you still are. You look the same, truthfully. Just drop dead gorgeous. I mean, and then you come out in the bodysuit with the flower. At first when I was a little kid, I was like, oh my God, she's naked. Her hair's covering her boobs. It's like, oh wait, it's a bodysuit. But
I was a lot less naked than a lot of people, actually. I had three different coats of spandex on me.
Yeah, when I saw you live, that's when it was kind of like, oh, okay, she's wearing something. But I know at first glance on TV, it was like, is she naked? No, it's a bodysuit. But I mean, it's a memorable gimmick. I don't think anyone that watched Glow is ever going to forget it.
Well, thank you. That's why I love Godiva. She knows how to make an entrance.
How'd you feel riding the horse?
I loved him. I absolutely loved him. I'm a huge, huge animal lover and a vegan, and I just adored him. I adored him. They hired him when I asked for a horse once I gave myself a backstory, and they said yes, which was remarkable. And they hired him from a company. He did a lot of other shows on the strip. He was a show horse. And so when the lights came up and the crowd started screaming, he thought it was all for him. And that was fine by me.
He didn't tour all the time with you, though, did he?
No, he never toured with me.
Okay.
We rented a horse one time, maybe twice, but I ended up in the 4th row. So I didn't want to rent horses anymore because the lights and the screaming scared the crap out of them, and that wasn't cool. And I ended up in the 4th row in someone's lap.
Because I remember when I saw you live, I believe I'm almost positive there was no horse. You just walked down to the ring. I'm old. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It'd be very memorable. And I liked how you ladies, how they kept you back in the day all in character, where the bad girls were on one bus and the good girls were on another bus. I always thought that was clever.
Yeah, I liked that too. I liked having secrets. Like, you're supposed to be my mortal enemy, but we're besties. You know what I mean? Although, it was funny, Corey, thinking back on it, of course you put 30 women on a bus together, and not everyone's going to love each other. That's just the reality of it. But the way we were sort of split up, like, the girls that I would say, like, weren't my best friends were typically the good girls, and they were, I don't know, I guess a little more good girly. I don't know. Does that make any
Yeah,
sense?
no, I get exactly what you're saying.
I think we were selected for our characters in a very smart way.
Were you a wrestling fan growing up by chance?
Not, I'd never seen wrestling in my life. I was probably on television wrestling before I ever saw a wrestling match.
What was it like then when you were on Family Feud against the WCW wrestlers like the late Brian Pillman and Kevin Sullivan, who I do seem to recall you beat both of?
They were not all of them, but some of them were just super arrogant. And back in the 80s, legitimate wrestling wasn't taking. Did you see my finger quotes there, by the way?
Yes. Well,
they weren't taking.
I'm going to imagine it. We're just audio, so.
They weren't taking Glow seriously, but Glow was created. Yes, we had some kick-ass wrestling, absolutely, but that wasn't the number one goal of Glow. Now, some of us who were athletes, we did some serious wrestling moves. Mm-hmm. The rest of it, the camp and the kooky and the riding in on horses and the casting spells on people and all of that stuff, they thought that we were making fun of the genre. Now, you have to really respect something to make fun of it on that level. So I think the creators of Glow really understood that. And I think, and especially in a male-dominated world, they just didn't. I don't think the guys in the WWF or whatever that other one was.
WCW,
I don't think they. Yeah. WCW, that was it. I don't think they respected us.
And really, if you think about it, it's so dumb. It's like, well, this lady casts spells. It's dumb, but we have a guy who's dead. The Undertaker. I mean, yours was just played more tongue in cheek.
Yes, and they had. If you follow wrestling at all, if you notice historically, they added a lot more gimmicks post Glow. A lot more.
When I mentioned the two that you were, I won't say it on the air. If you want to know, I'll tell you after. The two that I mentioned that you went up against in Family Feud, I met one of them. He was a douchebag. So, no kind words to say there, but not very big in person either.
That's funny. Yeah, I went up to one of them and I go, "Oh my gosh, your makeup's awesome." And he goes, "It's paint." I was like, "Okay, bro, your Krylon is awesome, whatever."
Paint, makeup, it's the end of the day, it's the same thing.
You could tell that they were just didn't respect women in that profession.
And the funny thing, you can laugh now because their company went out of business. They became the laughing stock. Your company's still revered to this day.
Yes, and we made history. They didn't start anything. We were the first all-female wrestling television show that happened.
And you hit every market. You hit the wrestling fans. You hit the horny guys. You hit the people that like the campiness. I mean, you hit every. The person I felt the most sorry for was Aunt Kitty because she seemed to manage every single bad girl. She had a lot of people to take care of.
Yeah, she was amazing. But we did hit every genre. I got fan mail from college boys, prison inmates, 10-year-old girls. Most of our fan mail was from little girls because they had no heroes on TV. Well, at that time, except for Wonder Woman, I guess. But other than Wonder Woman, there weren't girl superheroes on TV.
No, there was.
I remember because I did live in the Glow house. I remember going through the mail that would come in, and it would be like, I want to be just like Debbie Debutante. Godiva, what kind of shampoo do you use? I mean, it was so cute. My horse got more fan mail than a lot of Glow girls got.
You had all the merchandise. Well, sort of. You had like magazines. You guys were doing good merchandise, but you never really had dolls. I noticed. Was that ever a plan down the road to start getting figures?
I think so. And I'm going to tell you right now, and anyone who's listening, I would shank my grandmother for a Godiva doll, just so you know. I want one so bad.
There's companies that can make one for you.
Yeah. Well, I look enough like Barbie probably that I could probably fashion some sort of fishnet bodysuit on a Barbie, but you know what I mean.
Get some pantyhose, just glue them on the
totally. Some little flowers, a horse.
Sadly, I asked this. I've gotten the same answer from every girl. I have to ask it. How shocked were you when it ended?
We were all pretty shocked. I think, I don't know. I don't really remember, probably because of my just stupid age. I was just like, okay, on to the next thing, because when we're doing Glow, you have to remember, we didn't know it was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know it was going to become a big deal. We didn't know it was going to become like a legacy show. It was a kooky, campy, syndicated show that, because of Phil Donahue and Married with Children and those kinds of things, became a bit of a water cooler show. But at the time, we didn't know we were making a mark on anything. We didn't know there's 25 years in the future there's going to be this major Netflix show and it's going to win Emmys and, we're going to see ourselves on that show. I mean, my mind would have exploded. We didn't know it was going to be anything like that. So I was kind of just like, oh, okay, well, I guess I have to go get a job again.
I just remember because we got it here late. We got it like 1 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and I would always stay up and watch it. You're on after Freddy's Nightmares. Terrible show nowadays. Yours is still fun. And, it always, and then all at once there were a bunch of reruns, and then it just ceased to exist.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
Whoever is sitting on those master tapes could, make a small fortune in a matter of days.
I agree. And I wish they would. Every single solitary Glow fan, and there are many, wants a boxed set that is good quality. Because what's out there right now, what Ursula's selling, and the stuff that you're going to find on YouTube is just really poor quality.
And that's the farmer's daughter, correct?
Yes.
Who, from what I hear, got the rights for a penny.
Yeah.
Boy, I could have made $10 million off that penny in about a month.
Yeah, me too.
Because it markets itself.
I know.
And the beauty of it, too, that you sang all your own songs, so you never had to worry about getting permission for musical rights to release any of that stuff.
It's true.
See, if she's listening, I just gave her the platform there to make a whole lot of money.
Well, there's a lot there.
Now, I know they did the Glow Cruise, and they have the Afterglow and all that. Do you do any of that stuff?
I do not.
Do you still keep in contact with any of the girls?
Yes, a lot of the girls. I sure do.
Now, I guess what I wondered, because I know Jeannie Hollywood, she when Glow ended tried out for WWF wrestling. She just kind of went with I believe her leg or her ankle was broke, which was a shame. I know, of course, Ivory. She went. Oh my God, I'm drawing a total blank on her name from Glow. Tina Ferrari. She went on to become, a Hall of Fame wrestler. Did you have any desire to try to go into another wrestling league, or were you just like, it's time to do something else?
You know what? I'm angry at my answer right now, but sadly I did not, because Glow to me wasn't a wrestling show. It was a variety show with wrestling. Mm-hmm. And my favorite parts of Glow were being funny, being clever, being smart, being glamorous and bombastic, and all of the things that I got to be as Godiva. And I didn't see myself as a wrestler, even though I had pretty great moves. I'm not gonna,
No, you were a natural athlete.
I could have, and I wish I would have. That's my answer. I wish I would have.
What? Because after Glow, I won't lie, I didn't hear really a lot. You don't do a lot of the like you said, the Glow stuff. What did you, if you don't mind me asking, what did you do after Glow?
Wow, it's been a lot of years. It's been a lot of years, Corey. What decade do you want? I'm an artist, and I am a working artist. I was a pastor for a decade, if you can believe that. I have been in the restaurant business for a long time. I'm a sommelier, which is just, I know way too much about wine. It's just a fancy wine person. And yeah, that's kind of it. I currently am an artist. I paint pet portraits on wine glasses.
Oh, nice. I have to have you.
And I do sort of wine-themed installations.
And you're married, family?
Yes, I'm married, and I have a son and a stepson who are both amazing and married and just happy family.
So you never kind of look back at it like, oh, I wish I would have done this. I wish Glow had ended. You were just happy after it ended. You just moved on.
Yeah, I don't do regrets in my life. I mean, I'm not a perfect person, and I've made plenty of mistakes and wrong turns, but I've always righted the ship, and I'm always just pretty grounded and happy with who I am, the choices I've made.
And now, well, I shouldn't say it's my big question, but natural question. You watched the Netflix show.
Yes.
And I mean, I won't lie. I like the Netflix show sort of. I think the reason I like it is I can watch it and I can kind of see who they're supposed to be, if that makes sense. They're mishmash of characters.
Yeah, of course.
I cannot remember for the life of me. I feel bad. Your character on the show. How do you feel about that portrayal of it? I mean, because it's very different. You know, you didn't need to marry the owner to get a green card, and I won't lie to you though. I was very sad to learn there was no robot that passed out cocaine at parties. That broke my heart.
Oh, sorry about that. Well, maybe whoever you interviewed didn't go to the right party.
Oh, because if I had a robot to deliver blow, I mean that would be the coolest thing in the world.
I know. I thought that was hilarious. Okay, so you're asking me how I felt about my sort of how I was portrayed on the show.
Anybody that watches the show clearly can say, hey, you know, that's Godiva. Hey, that's Nanuchka. Hey, that's
sure.
Americana. I mean,
of course. I love what Kate did. I think the way they wrote it was brilliant. I just told you that my two favorite characters in seasons 3 and 4 were Zelda and Godiva, and I think they mashed them up perfectly. I love that that they made a British character. I love that she was really British. I'm wondering if Carly and Liz even knew that I wasn't.
I swear to God, I thought you were.
Well, everyone did.
And I can see a fake accent, but not yours.
I know. So I loved that they put a British girl on. Obviously, I loved when she came into the ring on a horse. Duh. and I loved that they made the British girl also the smart girl, because Godiva was smart also. Mm-hmm. So I love that they mashed her up with my second favorite character, Zelda the Brain. I thought it was brilliant.
If you couldn't have been Godiva, you would have loved to have been Zelda the Brain. Is there anyone else you would have liked to have been?
That's a good question. I've always just really... I can't think of anyone else that I would have loved to have been. I definitely was glad that coming into season 3, I got an original character, and I wasn't another cheerleader and another farmer's daughter and another military character. I'm really glad that I got an original character. I'm glad I'm not, cheerleader number 4.
I really liked how you guys sold everything too, because I always thought Dementia was really, really cute, and then when I got to meet her, and she didn't talk, I'll give her that. She kept in character, but her eyes, the way she stared at me, it creeped me out. So I've always wanted to do an interview with her where she just doesn't talk. I think that would be interesting. So, but no,
that would be funny.
You guys were like tailor-made. I mean, you kept wrestling better than the men, but forgive me, this is a sore subject asking this. What I find pretty fucking pathetic, I mean, there's no other way to say it. If I were to make a show, and I'm not knocking the creators, but if I was going to make a show about Glow, I would damn well, just like in the superhero movies, I'd have consultants. I would have at least 10 Glow girls there, especially if that's the character. Did it hurt your feelings that they didn't ask you to come on and be like either a cameo or help go over things with your character or just be a part of it?
Yes. That's the short answer. The longer answer is I understand why they didn't. I'm sure there was some sort of legalities about it, because when I met the cast and I met the writers and the costume design, when I met everyone at an event, they were fangirling all over us. It was myself and Little Egypt, and they went crazy to meet us, and they wanted to take pictures with us, and they wanted to talk to us. When I talked to, I didn't meet Kate, the character that plays Britannica, but I have talked to her online, and she was positively gushing. Godiva, I've watched every single match you've ever done. So I think they virtually consulted with us, because they definitely did their homework. There were scenes that I was just sitting there going, oh my God, that happened.
I just always thought it was kind of weird. It was like, especially like in the first few episodes when they showed him training, and John Hennigan, who I know, he was one of the trainers. I think they had mostly the other guy wrestlers. I think Chavo Guerrero, which is kind of cool because I know Mondo was an original trainer, but it was like, why don't this is a good chance to have some of the girls here? It's kind of like,
I know. I would have liked for that to have been the case. I really would have. I was hoping, even as Easter eggs. Now, none of us, not one of us in Glow, as amazing as of a job as we did with the heavy lifting on the acting, none of us are actors. And so I understand they don't want to put non-actors on their show. They've got Allison Brie, for goodness sakes. But I would have, I could have been checking out Allison Brie at the Quickie Mart, and my fans would have lost their shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why the Cobra Kai show, that's why it's so popular, because it's got 75 Easter eggs in each freaking episode.
Yes. Oh my gosh, and I'm going on record as loving that show.
Oh, then I have to send you the video I made where I prove that Kreese is really the good guy of the show.
Oh boy, send it.
Oh, it makes sense if you watch it.
Send it.
I've also proved that Miyagi-Do have been dirty cheaters since day one.
Oh no, I don't know if I can watch that.
Well, okay, now off topic here. You remember the original Karate Kid movie, right?
Of course.
Now I won't do that because everybody has that same thing where they're like, oh well, he used the illegal kick. Okay, the tournament was the under 18 All Valley tournament, right?
Right.
2 days before his tournament, Miyagi gave him a car for his 18th birthday. Right there, disqualified, not of legal age. See, I found facts that people don't think of.
That's funny. That's funny.
It's so funny, because, it's such a hot show now. When you go back and watch The Karate Kid, I really hate Ralph Macchio in that. I feel no sympathy for him. It's so weird. He was such an annoying character when you go back and watch it now as an adult.
Well, I'm not going to lie. Tori was my favorite character in the new version by far over the little goody two-shoes girl. But that's the heel in me. What am I going to do?
No,
I got to love Tori.
I liked her too. And I remember before I said anything, I asked my son, he's 11. I was like, how old's Tori? Look her up. And he's like, she's 22. I was like, okay, I can say she's really cute, not feel like a dirty perv. So,
sure.
Plus, she also looks like someone who knows martial arts. The other girl, some of the people there, they don't even fake it very well.
Yeah, that's true.
And some are amazing.
Well, I could say the same for Glow Netflix.
Yeah, I can say this, even, the one thing I liked, and I can't remember the match. I always thought it was so fun. It was, it might have been Tiffany Mellon. I can't remember. There was a episode where Big Bad Mama put the hex on one of the girls and they switched places. I always remember. I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, that's clever. I can't remember who it was either off the top of my head, but yeah, that was a good one. Maybe that's my answer. If I couldn't have been Godiva or Zelda the Brain, maybe I would be Big Bad Mama.
Well, I missed. Do you keep in contact by chance with? Because I always like to wish her well wishes. Matilda the Hun.
I haven't talked to Matilda in since she's sort of fallen ill. I know that Roxy talks to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I haven't talked to her in probably a year.
I don't know if anyone sends her these to listen to, but I always like to wish her, well, because I remember her from being long before Glow, being in movies and stuff like that. So She wasn't there though when you were there, was she?
No, she wasn't.
She left at season 2. I think she supposedly married David McLean or the ring announcer, and they went to Mexico or something like that. I remember all these things. No, I loved your character in Glow. I really would have loved to have seen you in the Glow series. Do you think they'll do a final movie for the series?
I wish they would. I have my doubts just because, they snatched it off the air and that momentum is gone, as far as I think too that, and with I'm just guessing, I have no knowledge of this, but I think also with Betty Gilpin and Allison Brie getting so much critical acclaim and going on and doing other things, I'd be very surprised if they could afford them.
Well, that's what I was going to ask in your opinion, because I can sure state mine too. They said that it was canceled because of COVID. It's hard to film a wrestling show with COVID and all that. And that'll make sense, but you've waited 3-4 years in between Stranger Things. You couldn't wait another year between Glow. The fans were there. It just seemed like it was, we were going to cancel it, and now we'll just use this as our excuse.
I agree. And so then that means it probably did come down to money, because that makes sense. But I don't know.
It's a shame too, because you were people that watched the show. They were in Vegas. They were coming to the end of the story was coming to a natural conclusion. So I hate when shows do that.
I know. I would have liked to have seen how they ended it for sure.
It'd be like if Karate Kid came back or didn't come back, and you don't know what happens in season 4 when it ends to be continued.
Right. Well, I do find it very ironic that Glow Netflix got sort of snatched off the air the same way we did.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I always watched it. And it was like reruns. It's like, oh, it must just be getting ready for the new season. Oh, it ain't on no more. And the magazine.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was so weird because you had the magazines, like I said, Family Feud, Donahue,
Yeah.
all this stuff, and then it went away. But that was also before the internet, I guess, too. So
Yeah.
things didn't leak out back then.
That's true.
Do you have any Glow memorabilia that you kept?
I have all the magazines. I have all the posters. I have a couple of tour programs. I think the coolest thing that I have, again, I was an artist even back when I was in Glow. I have sketchbooks. And my sketchbooks, I used to take them to all the meetings and all of my matches and everything. So I have sketches in there. I have all my matches written out. I have reams of scripts from Glow. So I have a lot of cool stuff.
I've never asked it. You'll be the only Glow girl I will ask this question to, because this is one that I just want a single answer for, and I'm going to ask you. In men's professional wrestling, WWF and that, they kind of call their spots in the ring. Did you guys call it as you went, or was it kind of laid out what you're going to do in the match?
It was completely scripted.
Do you think that's better?
I do when I'm in the ring with a girl who's not an athlete.
That makes perfect sense.
I don't want her to get hurt. I don't want it to be my fault. And I want everybody to know what move is coming next. Absolutely. Especially in tag teams when there's 2 to 4 people in the ring at a time, battle royals. I want every footstep blocked out. We had words and stuff for, like, if we forgot or we got lost where we were. There was plenty of times where Daisy or Roxy or somebody had me in a headlock going, "What's next? I forgot." And then, we can communicate that way, but it's much safer to have it completely blocked out.
This is, I know a lot of people ask this as like a mark, which is not how I'm asking. Did you have a favorite, like, opponent, someone that you got to work with?
Oh, absolutely. I had a couple. Daisy was certainly one of my favorites because she was strong enough to throw me around, and so that was fun. And I also, probably my second favorite would be Cheyenne Cher, because she was also a gymnast, and I could touch her with my pinky and she'd go flying, making me look like a superhero. So I liked wrestling both of them for the opposite end of the spectrum reason.
Now, you still are incredibly beautiful. And like I said, you had the gimmick where you were in the bodysuit. Did fans ever get out of line?
Not really. No, I can't remember any instances where fans got out of line. When we were on tour, I used to call some poor bastard up out of the audience and sing "Getting to Know You" and loosen his tie and fog up his glasses and do that whole thing with the British accent. But after one sort of almost weirdness, we started planting people for me to pull out, just so nobody would get handsy with me. But I don't recall. I mean, we had kind of a rough and tumble show in Boston in a place we shouldn't have been playing at all, based on the fact that our audience was largely children. We were in this sort of large nightclub, and we had a lot of, show us your tits, that kind of thing. But nothing jumps out as anything that actually got crazy or scary or anything like that.
Yeah, when I saw you here, it was, when you say that, it was a lot of families, a lot of kids that were at the show, a lot of adults too, but there were a lot of more kids at your show, of course, than there were like in WWF wrestling when it would come to town back then. Now it's all basically a family thing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was our major demographic was kids, which is why when we pulled up to this nightclub in Boston, we were all kind of like, what are we doing here?
I mean, I don't think it'd be, I don't know, but yeah, I would never want to hear, because I see guys get handsy with like valets and stuff in indie leagues, it was like, but you guys, from what I remember, you had pretty decent security, so, I mean, they kept you safe, I hope.
Yeah, I don't think I ever felt like I was in danger at all.
Would you, if somebody asked you to do a Glow reunion where you guys wrestled again, would you do it?
No.
Or are you, is that chapter closed, so to speak?
I would do a Glow reunion, but nobody needs a bunch of 50-year-olds in a wrestling ring. That's just absurd.
So you're not opposed to doing a reunion if the opportunity presented itself and it was right?
No, I'll be there.
Well, I can't thank you enough I know you don't do a ton of interviews, so I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day to speak to me. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, I always had when I was a little kid, I had a big crush on you. I can't thank you enough. I'm almost blushing as I say that.
Well, thank you so much, Corey. That's very, very kind of you. I appreciate it, and I loved your questions. It's been fun to talk to you.
Well, thank you. So I hope you can come back on again one day.
I will be happy to.
Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. You have been listening to the Chronicles of Hollywood History. Thank you from Gomez Richmond Productions.